All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Yesterday, the franchise tag deadline just passed, so today we'll just get a little bit of recap all that and pretty active on the release market. So kind of throw a little bit of that in there. So Christian, let's just get started with all the tags.
Yeah, so let's just run them down real quick. Starting with probably one of the big one here. Antoine Winfield Jr. of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will just franchise tag yesterday. So obviously there's gonna be a big asset coming back for this Bucs defense. A defense that did end up depleting. Towards the season, and Winfield being a big centerpiece at that secondary position. So obviously this is a great transition for the Buccaneers team. Obviously, really the only main concern here for the Buccaneers is retaining Baker, but signing Winfield right now is for the franchise tag is probably a good start.
Which is, I mean, something we expected to happen. I
Yeah,
mean, we know he was kind of. We saw the
they were
rumors in the
talking about
last
the
video.
contract.
We
Yeah,
talked about he was looking for a 20-year, a 20 million dollar deal or
for
something
three,
like that in
four
that
years, I
range,
believe. Yeah,
3 to 4 years.
yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously that's still in play if they can reach a deal at post the tag, but there's still outside chances. We'll wait and see. Obviously, another guy. This one was already in the works since a couple weeks ago, but it finally got finalized in Justin Matabuke from the Ravens. Obviously, he was very a very strong center point of that Ravens defense. Obviously, the top defense. Strong held them into that number one seed. Probably got Lamar his MVP if we're being honest. But I mean, regardless, obviously this is a piece you wanna retain. I mean, that defense as a whole. I mean, he was arguably one of the leaders on this defense. So to retain him, obviously you would think he wants a bigger deal, but he gets to play under this tag one for one more season.
Yeah, obviously, that was a big, really big, important piece for that, really great Ravens defense, especially in the not secondary, excuse me, especially with that pass rushing unit. I mean, like you said, Gallimard the MVP, but that defense obviously, really great. Get in with the great franchise tag right then and there. Keep it on the level of the pass rushers. Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars, he also did end up getting the franchise tag as well. Obviously, Josh Allen, he's been a player that's he's been under the radar the past couple of seasons, but this season he had a really big step to see for the Jaguars, getting at 17 and a half sacks. So that's obviously a really good sign to see with Josh Allen for this defense as well. You would expect him to hopefully get a contract with the way he's playing, hopefully next year and the next 1 or 2 years. But the franchise tag to keep it safe, letting a player like Josh Allen go, it's already detrimental to this Jaguars team, especially with the huge downfall and huge collapse they had last season.
Yeah, and we know that defense is obviously reeling. We obviously, which was a major part
Yeah.
in that downfall. And obviously, he is honestly still a trade can. We know some of these guys that got the tag could still be moved, and this is a guy that I've really kind of thought, maybe the Rams can make a push for. I said next guy we're gonna get into also in Brian Burns. Obviously, we know all the rumors that the Rams have gone into. He's we already in within last season we offered 2 first round picks for him, and obviously should have taken that because now look at the situation they're getting into here. There's still rumors that a deal could be made, but regardless. Looks like for the moment, if nothing does come to pass, Brian Burns is gonna be held into Carolina a little longer. But I mean, I honestly am expecting him to be moved before the offseason ends.
Yeah, honestly, it was a pretty, unfortunate in the sense that, he still has to deal with Carolina, but obviously with Carolina's defense, I mean, really looking into last season, they weren't horrible. They kept them for most of the time. They kept the team, for much in the most games. Obviously, it really led to the offense. But keeping Brian Burns, it's gonna be a really big step up to that D-line core as well with the very young defense. Now, obviously, moving on now to probably one of the second positions now, the Chicago Bears. Once again, they finally made another move in the secondary positions, franchise tagging Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, he was an underrated corner last season. Really, that hit a big step up for that secondary position. Obviously, with candidates like Eddie Jackson, who was released not that long ago as well too. So obviously the secondary has been depleted just a little bit, but keeping Jalen Johnson for what he's been doing for the Chicago Bears defense, he's really good. I always like Jalen Johnson. That was one of the candidates. I would have probably hoped to see probably Jerry make a move for in the trade line. He's one of the players I kind of hopefully Jerry made a move for, but he's gonna remain a Chicago Bear, and hopefully that defense, that young defense of the Chicago Bears, Jalen Johnson is another great spot for him too as well.
And yeah, obviously we see the Bears were making moves for the future with that defense when they got Montez Sweat, and I mean, if they can get some secondary help too, maybe late in the draft. I mean, they got all these picks after the deal with Carolina. Maybe something can come to play there. But now, of course, one more that I guess this one's a little different. We were kind of thrown off a bit. We weren't even sure what the transition tag is. It's roughly the same thing, but of course, Kyle Duggar from the Patriots, obviously a very depleted defense as a whole here, and one of the smaller bright spots of this defense, getting the transition tag. I mean, from what I understood, I'm not even an expert. It's roughly the same thing, but I said we'll move it into something that a little more down our alley with Michael Pittman Jr. The Colts are finally giving a franchise tag for the first time since Pat McAfee. So obviously, Christian, we really love Pittman. It's that USC receiver connection. It's nice to see him. I know there still is that chance that he's gonna get that long-term deal. They were trying to work it out before the deadline did come, and it wasn't able to happen. So putting this tag, it does give them a little more time to see if they get a deal. But obviously, with an emerging receiver like Pittman, it's really nice to see him get that back.
Yeah, ever since he was drafted, every single year he's been growing, man. There hasn't been a decline for him. He's been steadily going up in his numbers, and he's been getting good at every single year. His route running has been becoming very, very good, especially watching him a little bit more. So honestly, I would say probably after the season, expect him due for a contract. And obviously that closes out the franchise tags for all that. So the free agency market was pretty compact to say the least. Now moving on to some of the big releases that happened so far too. Starting off with the two main ones from Seattle, Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. Now this one was kind of more of a surprise on Quandre Diggs' side. I did not expect Quandre Diggs to get released. I was actually pretty high on Quandre Diggs this season, especially him paired up with it's the
Tariq Woolen.
forgot it. Tariq Woolen. There you go. Yeah. I was pretty high on him with Tariq Woolen at the secondary. Excuse me, the cornerback spot for those two. Really high on them too. I was about to say young guys, but no, Diggs is 31. But he's 31. His age is there, but really, he's still a good coverage. But it really
The
is
main thing is that tackling. Yeah.
Yeah, the tackling was probably the big piece that kind of screwed
Which is
up
probably
that
the
defense.
reason they want to get him cut. And we see Mike
Yeah.
McDonald, defensive guy. He probably wants to mold the defense around his own way. Probably does make sense why he wanted to move on there. But I would think,
Jamal.
yeah, go for it.
No, yeah, but with Jamal, sure, I wouldn't say I expected
I'll
it,
say
but
I didn't
it
expect
makes
it,
sense.
if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, but it makes sense. Come on, Jamal hasn't
Yeah.
done really anything, so this was kind of more of expected piece. Still a little, concerned about the Quandre Diggs, but with the tackling he had last season, you would kind of make sense of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, as for Blitzboy, he never lived up to the billing of that trade once he came for the Jets. He came in so hyped, and he played his part. Don't get me wrong, he really did bolster up that defense. We know when they won the division in 2020, he was a big part of it. But at the end of the day, it was a sad run. He got his bag and dipped. So, you got to respect it to that extent. Now, moving into earlier today, and this video is going to end up coming out the day after, but same thing. The Bills were really busy today. A lot of moves, but we'll really get heavy on the releases they got. Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White. Now, I really wasn't expecting any of these moves, especially Jordan Poyer. He's just a staple with that. That Bills defense really didn't. I really haven't been keeping up with his stats, but I from what I understood, I thought he was doing pretty good. I guess there's they're kind of cleaning house, I guess. So some people are thinking, what's are they believing their windows closed or something? Who knows? We saw they did pick up, they did re-sign Taylor Rapp, so I guess they're valuing him over Poyer. But on the corner side, Tre'Davious White, this one was probably a more surprise to me.
Honestly, this was honestly more surprising. I'm in class and I see these two cuts. I'm like, what the hell are the Bills doing? Like you said, are they cleaning house? And Poyer, he's been with the team for quite some time. He was very important to that defense. And don't get me wrong, Poyer, he was probably the more important one on the defense, if I want to be honest here. But Tre'Davious White too. Sure, he had the season-ending injury, but Tre'Davious White, he is still a very good cornerback. I'm pretty sure. Just I want to say maybe 10 teams that could probably sign him right now, even with Poyer. But obviously with the Bills,
Rams secondary, could definitely see him on here.
Hey, Tre'Davious White on the Rams, that could be a sign. Poyer on any other team, that could fit as well.
You said something about Trey White on the Cowboys a little earlier.
Hey man. I would love that with him, Bland, J. Lou, Gilly, and White. that could be a good secondary position.
Jerry
But
ain't doing shit, bro.
yeah, but that's really just all depends on Jerry. But none say the less. These are probably the two surprising cuts of so far.
Yeah, and honestly, just close out one last one, I guess. Avonte Maddox of the Eagles. I can't really say this is a surprise if we're really being honest. I guess he kind of just, flew under the radar at the end of the day. Kind of didn't really do much this season. I kind of forgot he was even on the Eagles to a certain
I mean,
extent.
the whole Eagles defense was forgettable.
That's the point. The Eagles
Yeah,
secondary, obviously, he kind of just, flew under the radar.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, obviously not much to say there. I mean, the Eagles definitely should be cleaning house for what it's worth on their secondary. That's probably going to be a big focus in the draft, which is something that we'll end up getting into soon. This does close out this video. It's just a quick little recap of the franchise tag deadline, and of course, some surprising move that just happened. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back for, I believe we're gonna do a little mock draft coming up next. So, we'll see you back for that.